Since filming that first episode, I've had quite a few conversations about this project, some with friends, some with local business owners, and some with people who've simply watched the video. Thank you. And one question keeps coming up. Are you going to do it? And the honest answer is, I don't know yet. Not because I've gone off the idea, of course. If anything, I'm probably more excited about it than I was when I first walked into the unit a few weeks ago. But I've realised that's exactly why I need to slow myself down. The more excited you become about something, the easier it is to start filling in the gaps yourself. You start imagining how it will look. You picture the people using the space. You begin thinking about the events that you'll run and conversations and everything that it could become. And I've caught myself doing it loads over the past couple of weeks. And every time I do, I have to remind myself that none of that tells me whether it's actually a good idea. It just tells me that I like the idea. They're two completely different things. Thought about it, the more I've realised this project isn't really about finding a commercial unit. It's about working out whether there's a genuine need for what I'm hoping to create. Because if there isn't, I would rather know that now. One thing I've learned over the years is that it's really easy to build something that makes perfect sense to just you. The difficult bit is building something that makes sense to the people that you're creating it for. This applies to property investment as well. And that's why I keep coming back to this same question. Am I solving a problem that actually exists? I don't think I can answer that on my own. I can look at the building and the numbers. I can work out whether the project is financially viable, but none of those things tell me whether local businesses actually need it. And that's the bit that matters the most, really. I think we sometimes convince ourselves that if an idea sounds good, people will automatically want it. But that's an assumption. And assumptions just aren't evidence. And the only way I'm really going to know whether this has real potential is by speaking to the people I'm hoping will actually use it. That's why I've put together the survey, and that's why I'm hosting a networking breakfast. Not because I'm hoping everyone tells me it's a brilliant idea, although that would be ideal. In fact, I'm almost hoping people challenge me a little bit on it. I'd rather somebody ask or say, I don't think I'd use that, or, you know what, that's not really for businesses around here, because that to me is useful. That tells me something. The feedback I'm looking for isn't praise, it's more kind of honesty. I don't need people to love the idea. I need to know whether they would actually use it and turn up to workshops and stuff like that. For me, that's the difference between enthusiasm and validation. Enthusiasm comes from me. I'm enthusiastic. Validation comes from everybody else. And if those two things line up, then maybe I'm onto something. And if they don't, then I've learned something equally valuable before I've committed to the project. That's why I'm having the networking breakfast. I love data. I love analysing things. But sometimes a spreadsheet can only tell you so much. People don't always write everything they're thinking on a survey, because it's only when you're chatting to someone over coffee and you actually find out what their real struggle is. That's usually where the interesting conversations begin. One person shares an idea, someone else says they've got exactly the same problem, another person offers a completely different perspective. Those are the sort of conversations that can completely change a project. And that's what I'm hoping happens here. I don't want to build something based on what I think people want. I'd much rather build something based on what they've told me they need. Feels like a much better place to start. And I suppose that's really what market validation means. It's not asking people whether they like the idea. It's about finding out whether the idea solves the problem. Sometimes the answer is yes, and other times it's no. But it can send you in a completely different direction. But whatever the outcome, you will make a better decision because of it. That's why I'm taking this approach with the Ongar Business Hub Project. I could rush ahead because I love the idea, don't get me wrong. Or I could spend a bit of time listening first. For me, that feels like the smarter decision. So over the next couple of weeks, I'll be reading through the survey responses, meeting local businesses, and of course, hosting the networking breakfast. Then I'll come back and share everything I've learned. I'm genuinely curious to see whether the feedback reinforces the vision I've got today or whether it completely changes it. And if you're a local business and you've got a couple minutes, I would really appreciate you completing the survey. And if you've got any thoughts on the project or you've worked somewhere that's got this right, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Thank you so much for following the journey, and I will see you in the next episode.